So today we're going to be taking a look at the alternative future of the world, part 1, reformed. Now, you're probably wondering, why are we doing part 1 again? Why are we doing this reform? Now, yesterday I tried to make an alternative future of the world part 5, and the file, or the video got messed up, and then the file for the map corrupted. So now I'm stuck without the alternative future of the world map. So that was kind of iffy, so you're going to have to restart. And this time, I'm going to copy this map and paste it so it doesn't get corrupted. So, yeah, I mean, that might be a good idea, I'm not sure. So anyway, starting off with the alternative future of the world, we're obviously going to have Russia and Ukraine, because this happens every alt future of the world. So I'm going to make it drag a bit more. And this is going to be an extra long episode. This is going to have a lot in it. It's going to be a lot of what's going on in it. It's going to have, it's going to have a lot going on. Just so you guys know, this is part 1. It's reformed now. So, yeah, I mean, I guess let's get right into it. So, obviously, we have Russia and Ukraine. Belarus they just joined. So if we take a look at the current front in Ukraine, Russia has about, I don't know, something like, give me a sec, guys. Russia has about something like this in Ukraine. Now, well, not like that is completely wrong. Something like this. Now, that is I think it's a little bit thicker than this, actually. So, this is the Russian sort of invasion into Ukraine at the moment. The Ukraine are, at the time of recording this video, I think they're sort of pushing down towards here and trying to capture Crimea, which could go successful, I'm not sure. But that's what's going on so far. So let's take a look at our one. So in our universe, we're going to say, well, this happens, you guys will see. So Russia begins to push further into heartland of Ukraine. They meet up with some Belarus troops and they push down from the north again and link up with Kharkiv. After linking up with the Kharkivian forces, or the rest of the Russian forces, Russians begin to push into mainland Ukraine, or just western Ukraine. Kiev was already captured, but Ukraine does manage to push the Russians and Belarus back and recapture Ukraine. So this is the front we have at the moment. We have Russia. Basically, they've taken a lot of eastern Ukraine, but Belarus are looking, they're looking mighty sus. Oh yeah, that's not good. So Belarus begin to push down into western Ukraine. The Ukrainian army is kind of in shambles, causing a bit of a surrounding. And this is now the Battle of Kiev. Or Kiev? Is it Kiev or Kiev? Kiev. And this results actually in a Ukrainian victory, which causes the Ukrainians to manage to push back the Russians in the north. But they don't break the spearhead. Russians then use their full military in Ukraine to basically wipe them out, and they wipe out this spearhead easily. They're now pushing down and they take Odessa, and they just leave the last city, Lviv. After long fighting, the Belarusi began to push down through the border to stop NATO getting involved or sending more stuff. And eventually, after being surrounded, Zelensky flees to Romania. And eventually, after fleeing to Romania, he goes to Poland. This causes Ukraine to fall, and we're going to take a look at, not really the peace treaty, but what Russia wants to do with Ukraine. Now, I'm going to say this, I think Ukraine is going to be a Russian ally, so I think this is what we're going to get out of Ukraine. I want it to be a bit more. Yeah, so I think Russia, I don't want Belarus to get anything because that just look kind of ugly. And then Ukraine to be some sort of puppet state. Now, actually, I think if I extended this and just gave Ukraine Odessa, yeah, I look 100 times better. It already does. So with Ukraine now basically owning Odessa, or getting Odessa, we just see Moldova just sort of crap themselves. I'm joking. So Moldova gets terrified. Eventually, after Romania talks with NATO and the UN, Moldova decides to unite with Romania. This basically stops their country from getting invaded because Romania is now part of NATO and they don't like Russia. So now this basically means this is Romania. There's no Moldova anymore. This is all Romania. And they don't really... Ukraine's got a new government, so they don't like Ukraine very much. Now, they've got a new Russian-backed government, so... Yeah. So, we're going to see some other stuff happening elsewhere in the world. What we actually see is we finally see Saudi Arabia making nukes, and we sort of see some sort of... we see a special operation into Yemen. So, now what I'm trying to do with this series is, if you know in the last series, I would skip over a lot. I'm actually going to make a lot more wars go on. I'm going to show you what's going on. Basically, I'm going to try and make this series better than it's ever been. Now, this series was kind of good already. I mean, not going to lie, this series was good. But I want to make it better and better. And very button indeed to watch. And hopefully this entertains you guys. So, I would say to put Yemen on the blue side because Saudi Arabia is the aggressor. So that's what I'm going to do. Exactly. Now, if we look at the Yemeni war, I think it's this part of Yemen it's around, I think I'll try and draw it up. I think it's this here is like breaking away from Yemen and they want to be North Yemen or something. But the Saudi Arabians decide to get involved. So this Yemeni state, or Yemen, sort of don't have their capital because it's been captured and it's kind of poop for them. But they do manage to push up, but not capture the capital, but they get really far up. But this time Saudi Arabian troops arrive and they begin to cross over into Yemen. They cross down and try and go along the coast and basically cut off Yemen. After linking up with the North Yemeni troops who retake a lot of their land, this is now Yemen front. Now, I think Yemen is allies with probably... I think Yemen are allies with Russia, China, Pakistan, Ukraine probably, Iran. Well, I'll just circle Iran because, I can't do anything. And then all these guys up here. I think that's their allies, but... I mean, I don't know. So, the Saudi Arabians continue to push into Yemen, and all of North Yemen is captured. Yemen kind of sues for peace, but the Saudi Arabians say, no, you've just been terrorising the entire Middle East, and they don't let them. They push down, and eventually the Yemeni troops are left on a holdout here. It becomes a stalemate, with the Yemeni troops breaking the stalemate and pushing up towards North Yemen. They managed to reclaim the capital and begin to attack Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, angered by this, uses another quarter of their military and slaps them. Now, I say slaps a lot, sorry guys. And eventually, after months of fighting, they're closed in on, eventually they just sort of surrender. So, let's take a look at the peace treaty here. So, we're going to have to take a look at this peace treaty. So, I think for the peace treaty, North Yemen will be free. But that they are ugly borders. I can't remember the height of North Yemen. I think it's something like that. That is good. I'll take that North Yemen part like that. So this is North Yemen getting independence, and we also see Saudi Arabia get probably a really tinsy-wincy bit out of Yemen. Just it's tiny bit, and then Yemen has to pay heavy war reparations. The Saudi Arabians feel bad and begin to invest in a new Yemeni government, which happens, and the country kind of gets back on its feet after, this monstrosity that happened. So North Yemen is now aligned as a firm Saudi Arabian ally and is part of this new defensive alliance, which I will now show you. So it won't be represented, but I'm going to represent it round. So this is the new Gulf Shield. Now, this is the height of the Gulf Shield. This is how many members are going to be in it. And they could unite one day. You don't know. But this is the Gulf Shield at the moment. Now, we see some Kurds breaking out near Turkey, but Turkey doesn't want to give them independence. And they agree with Syria and Iraq that they don't. Now, Turkey does want to start some stuff in Syria and Iraq. And they do start some crap with Iran. So what they do is in Armenia, which is a firm Iranian ally, they basically say that the Armenians attacked Azerbaijan in a recent war and that they should be proved guilty. This doesn't really grab the attention, and the Gulf Shield declare neutrality, which is actually quite surprising. So with the Gulf Shield declaring neutrality, it's now up to these dudes here. So anyway, let's take a look at what we think is going to happen. So, I'm probably saying that Turkey would be the aggressor here. Now, I think... Oh, what is going on here? Why is this like this? Can I just... No? I don't know why, it doesn't matter. So Turkey is probably the aggressor here. Iran isn't, I wouldn't say. Iran isn't really the aggressor. But anyway, they decide for both of them to go to war. Syria and Iraq Syria joins again with Iran. Armenia joins with Iran because they're scared. This is really weird. I don't know why it's doing this. I have to fix it later. Oh, I know what I did. Yeah. I'll go back. I just do this. Oh, I got that's because I spammed it too much. That's fine. So if I just draw up the teams now, obviously it's these guys versus these guys. And they're looking better. Definitely. The border's definitely looking better. Jesus Christ. They were kind of ugly last time. I don't know why. But if I just do these Gulf Shield defense things real quick, this should just stop any funny business, my dudes. Oh wow, that's ugly. And then I'm just going to do the C's. So all the C's that will be getting involved with these three here. Right, now we can finally get on with the war. So Iran, Turkey. So these are the sides here. I think they're kind of balanced. I mean, Iran's quite strong. Iraq's not very strong. Turkey sort of leads. They're quite balanced teams, I'd say. A very balanced team. Now, I'm not necessarily saying Turkey and Iraq like each other. They hate each other in this. But they both have a common enemy. Iran, because Iran and Iraq just don't really like each other at the moment. So anyway, let's get into it. So, we see some pretty mischievous stuff go on, which is the invasion of... Why is it all so blurry now? What is going on with these boards? This war is going to be really weird. So we see the invasion of Armenia, which links up Azerbaijan with the Panhandle, and Armenia falls within the first day. I did do Russia. Oh, good. Turkey begins their push into Syria, but the majority of parts they did own, which were these parts around here, they just own these parts for Syria. So they begin to push out from here and lock down all this place here, where Syria collapses. They don't collapse fully, as this is the new Turkish front, but Iran is now starting to make gains. They cross over the border of Iraq and take Baghdad within the first week, knocking out southern Iraq. They push across, and now I'd say the more land definitely goes to the blue team. Iran pushes up, takes Azerbaijan's exclave, which they've now begun attacking them, and they cross over and retake their ally, Armenia. Armenia comes back in the war, and they do a tiny bit to Georgia, not much though. And they also begin to push further up into Azerbaijan. Azerbaijan capitulates, and the push into Jordan started, while down in Syria, Turkey is continuing its push down towards Damascus. They reach Damascus and manage to take the city, which causes a capitulation of Syria. So now here is our front. We have Iran winning, I'd say. Still, they are winning, but the tide will turn. So Iran continues to push through the through Iraq, and now push up through the borders along the mountains. They push through, and eventually Iraq is just sort of like they're worn out, and they begin to liberate Syria. Iraq is forced out of the war by being fully invaded, and now the reinvasion of Syria is beginning. Turkey is losing horribly. Not really. I mean, they've taken back all of Georgia. So they've taken back all of Georgia and basically capitulate Armenia. They push up and take Azerbaijan. And now Iran should be scared. I mean, they've only got a tiny, tiny bit. And Turkey, who have had troops here for months, begin their invasion, which prompts Georgia and Azerbaijan to begin their invasion. And this is now the newest invasion of Iran. That's going to be an invasion. I think Iran probably invade here. Turkey invades, I don't know, here. Yeah, that. So Iran continues to push through and take Damascus liberate Damascus from Syria. And eventually Syria is completely liberated. Then begin to push into Turkey from the Iraqi-Syrian border. And this just sparks Kurds. No, I'm just joking. The Kurds are rising up, but they're not. Turkey doesn't really have to worry about them. So they are pushing through Turkey quite far. I mean, they're doing spearheads, and it's going to be a close one. Turkey then ramps up its entire force into Iran, and they absolutely godsmackle them. They get right next to Tehran, and they push all the way down through Iran, and now it's kind of even. They push through and begin to attack Iraq, while pushing through and liberating part of their country. After attacking Iraq, this basically looks like Iran is screwed, this is going to go on. So the red team managed to fall through, and eventually a battle sort of goes on around here. In this area specifically, a battle goes on in this area here. The red team begin to win, pushing the Iranian forces down the border, and eventually some of them just decide they can't go to Kuwait. So they get on a boat, which is, I'd say, about here in the navel from Iran, and leave, which causes Iran to be cut off from its ally, Iraq. With this, Iran cannot continue to supply, as Turkey shoots down gets rid of all their ships who they're trying to supply, and they also shoot down all their aircraft. This causes their front, basically after killing most of their troops, the troops just decide that we don't want more anymore, and they surrender. Now it's the offensive into Iran. Oh boy. So Iran now has all their troops focused here, and they do push them away from the coast. They push them up, but don't decide to go into Iraq, otherwise this war will drag on. This just isn't because I don't want to do it. But they think if they push into Iraq, Turkey's just right there, and they're going to push in again. So they don't decide to. And, Turkey does it anyway. They push further in, and eventually, after a long fighting time, Tehran is taken. Well, Iranians don't really give up hope. The government just leaves. They leave the country. They skip to Turkmenistan or Uzbekistan. Yeah, Turkmenistan. They just leave to Turkmenistan. So they begin to push along the border, and they now focus on taking the coast of Iran. They did it successfully, trapping the Iranians, and now just pushing up from the south and pushing down from the north. They're pushing in from the west and kind of pushing in from the east as well. Eventually, Iran is surrounded, and Iran just takes a big hit to the face. So now we're going to take a look at the peace treaty. So this was quite an interesting war, I'd say. Very interesting war. It's actually, if you're in the UK right now, it's sad that the Queen's died. I know, we just, I've said a lot about it on my Discord server. Queen unfortunately passed away Thursday, and yeah, it's very sad. A very sad moment for the UK, so don't go in the comments and start yapping on about how she's dead, because you're an idiot if you do that. So anyway, let's take a look at the peace treaty here. So peace treaty wise, we have Turkey taking most of Syria. We also have Armenia, basically, I don't know how to say it. So we have Azerbaijan taking Iran from Iraq to link up with the exclave, because why not? But they don't really have to do this, they just sort of get land. So this is the land thing, or this is the new border, and they sort of cut Armenia in half of Turkey. I'm just joking. All they do is they draw a line down Armenia and they say, this is your part, this is my part, and they just both agree because they're like best friends. So this is it. Georgia, they didn't really get invaded that much, so I don't think they should get anything. But Turkey does manage to get this. With Iraq, they were on Turkey's team, I'm pretty sure. But Iran has lost. I don't know. Turkey was on Iraq's team. Or Iraq was on Turkey's team. So I don't know what to give them, really. I mean, giving them part of Iran would be kind of weird and silly. So I don't think it'd really be worth it, mind you. I mean, they could give them Kuwait, but then the Gulf Shield are going to declare war on them, and then Turkey doesn't like the Gulf Shield, I don't think. So yeah, something like that. So they do hold some talks, and eventually they hold talks for unification in the near future, which isn't bad. I mean, it'll stop all the chaotic mess of this. It'll stop all the mess of this continent, which already has been stopped down here. All they got to do is stop the mess here. I mean, it's kind of stopped. I mean, Syria is now Turkish. Iran is weaker. They've lost Armenia. Yeah, I mean, Syria, this hasn't been resolved. That has not been resolved. So we're going to take a look at some more political things, I think, now. So Russia are developing more nukes up in the north here, and we see some anger by these dudes over here, the Americanos, and this is unlucky for them. So now I'm going to take a look at the alliance map, since I can now actually properly do that without having to do it really slow, because all these countries actually colour in properly now, which is awesome. And they do right up to the corner as well. Sort of. So, yeah. I guess that's pretty cool. Austria isn't in NATO, but this is NATO now. So we have all of these countries. I'm going to put Sweden and Finland, or Finland and Sweden in there, as they are part of NATO. Bosnia aren't. These guys are. Turkey is. I'm pretty sure. It just looks like there's someone who shouldn't be, who's not in NATO here. I don't know what it just does. Yeah, but this is NATO. Now we're going to take a look at the CSTO. Now this is literally, they've lost Armenia, so the CSTO are these countries here. Now, Iran are looking for allies, but they don't necessarily like these guys here or these guys here. Well, I mean, at least I don't think they do. So they sort of, I don't know how to explain it. They want to join the CSTO. They think it's silly. China doesn't want to join the CSTO. And eventually, I think after some time, I think they'd bite the bullet and join it. So here are the alliances. Oh, I forgot to add these two. So here is the CSTO, but we have some more people joining. We have Serbia joining the CSTO, which in turn makes Georgia, Azerbaijan, Kosovo, Bosnia and Austria all get admitted to joining NATO. Ireland also joins NATO. These guys, I think, were already in NATO. And yeah, now this is NATO. It's actually quite big. Now, I don't really want to name them the WDO yet because they're not down here. I mean, imagine they had those territories there. Or they had India or Pakistan or something in it. I mean, they won't put Pakistan in it, but anyway. So yeah, these are the alliances. I think we could take a look at some more. Definitely. So we're going to take a look at the Rio Pact, which is just basically every single South American country in the Rio Pact. So yeah, that's that. That's the Rio Pact. Now we're going to have another one formed against China. Another pact. This is a pact created by the Japanese and South Koreans against Chinese aggression. Now, Vietnam, Taiwan, and the Philippines do decide to join this pact. India stays out, but Thailand does. But this is the new PDP, the Pacific Defence Pact. Now, with China with them being threatened, or China being threatened, China makes their own pact. So make a pact with North Korea and Pakistan. India don't like Pakistan or China, but they like Russia. So I think that is a voice crack, but I think they'd bite the bullet and join in on the PDP side. So yeah, that is all the alliances at the moment. We have the PDP, NATO, the CSTO, Chinese Defence Pact, the CDP, and we have the Rio Pacts. These are some cool alliances. Definitely quite cool alliances, these are. So we're going to take a look at some more wars. Now, we obviously know China is collapsing, but we don't know how they're collapsing. Now, I'm going to do it differently to other people. So what I'm going to do is China go to war with the PDO or the PDP. But don't manage to get anywhere. Oh, I didn't do these guys, damn it. So, I think what they'll do is would be countries that won't get involved would be, I would say India, but I'd say not. I'd say all these would get involved. These guys wouldn't. These guys wouldn't. Mongolia, Russia. Yeah, that's everyone that doesn't get involved. I'm not saying the US wouldn't. Wink, wink. So, basically, that's not good. So, an attack on one is attack on all, which is the PDP's slogan as well. And that kind of stands up now because an attack on one is an attack on all. It's definitely an attack on all since now we've got some crazy lunatics running around. Well, not really crazy lunatics, but we've got the PDP on now. Now they're dealing with the PDP. Wow, that's going to be sad. So China activates its defence pact, which is North Korea and Pakistan. These dudes don't pick a side. They're like, no, I'm staying out of this. And that's exactly what they do. They stay out of the war. We also see Laos, Cambodia, and Myanmar also basically make the good decisions, stay out of the war. And so does this island down here. Anyway, let's get into the war. So obviously the US and Canada are going to be part of this war. Well, the US is going to be part of the war. So we're going to see what happens, I guess. So the first thing the US will do is back up the Taiwanese defence base and basically take, and Hong Kong break away. They push up from North. Have I used the wrong blue? I haven't. It really looks like it. So let's make this front a little bit smaller. They push into North Korea and push up the southern coast, trying to lock off the country. And North Korea just capitulates within the first 2 weeks. They cross over into China. Well, they don't really. Well, the Chinese troops cross over, and North Korea just sort of, yeah, that stuff sort of happens. We see the red team with China and Pakistan deciding to push into Kashmir, or the Kashmirian region, which goes successfully, and Kashmir is taken. But a lot of southern India and New India? New Delhi, that's it. New Delhi is I think New Delhi's here. So if they were to do that, they could cut it off easily. But that's too big an offence. The Indians make a push into the southern Pakistani area. And this is where we see Pakistan sort of break down. I mean, this is a wanting region. This is a Newing region. Eventually, India basically are just fighting with rebel groups. That is a really long front line. It's quite similar. Look, that's similar there. That's similar there. It's quite cool. But yeah, this is the front line we see at the moment. We're going to go to East Asia. Now we see China push down from Southeast Asia into Vietnam, but American troops have now arrived and they just pushed them back up. Not fully though. The Chinese now begin to bombard and eventually make their first teensy-wincy landings onto Taiwan. These turn into much bigger landings as they're now basically getting ready. But US troops arrive and guess what they do? Boink. Oh no. So they lose North Korea as North Korea falls. Eventually, China breaks down into a horrible civil war. This is called losing all their allies, all their fronts. And this is where China breaks into their civil war. Now, I'm just going to take a look at the Chinese in the civil war now. So, their horrible civil war is now ready to go. So, obviously, all these countries don't want to get involved. But China, basically, until China's civil war over, the Allies stop with the borders to basically decide that is what they want to do. So the Chinese civil war has broken out after basically what they've done is they have severely weakened China and let the civil war break out. I could argue Taiwan would be part of it, but we're just going to make the Republic of China. I'm also going to make a huge front line. So, oh my god, did I not do these guys? Over the stereo. Can't sing copyright songs. But basically we see this is Tibetan region. Well, this is the Tibet region. This region here is this part here is the Xinjiang region. And then we have the Republic of China down in the south here. We have southern China, or the Republic of China, down in the south. We have some random Mongolian. We have some random Mongol people, just sort of. We have some random Mongol people in Manchukuo and parts of China, and this is the new war. This is a really ugly war. When they're not really ugly, I mean, the southern China fight is just a really ugly state. It's just a straight line, pretty much. But this is the Chinese Civil War. Now it's gonna go chaotic. Now this isn't gonna spread across two, but this is gonna be quite a long war. So buckle in and get some popcorn. So we see these Mongolian people push along Manchukuo and into Manchuria, taking the entire region. And Beijing is now under their control. With Beijing being under their control, they're all basically rushing to take Beijing. The first competitor is the Republic of China, which slaps them and knocks them quite far back. And the Republic of China is probably, I'd say now, after this huge thing, the Republic of China is definitely the biggest. The CCP are basically just going to lose, but are still fighting. So they begin to fight the Mongolian people to basically try and get Mongolia to join the war, which they don't, because they kind of don't like China anymore, as the CCP are a bit mad. So President Xi does push them back, but President Xi gets pushed back himself. He gets basically a huge spearhead go into him by the Tibet region, or huge spear go on, and eventually we see some four corner action going on. We see you know what I mean. So basically this is the new Chinese alliance, I guess. I mean, enjoy, guys. Well, yeah, basically this is their new alliance, I guess. Well, not alliance. I can't speak. Yeah, but look, this is China being broken up now. So Xinjiang probably pushes down and has this part here. The Republic of China takes this part. And this is China split up into pieces now. So the CCP are just gone. It's now just chaotic men. Now, who will come out on top? I do not know. So the South China or the Republic of China and Tibet make themselves good friends and don't attack each other. But they both decide to attack Xinjiang. They can't, and Xinjiang just advances further into Tibet. So then they make a peace deal with Xinjiang, and basically they say, right, let's go after these Mongolian people. The Xinjiangese say, yes, alright, sure, and they do most of the work. They cut them off, and eventually the Mongolians are done, and that is civil war over. That wasn't that long. But that's sort of the civil war over. So now that the civil war is over, we're going to take a look at the peace treaty. So I actually don't know how to really draw a Tibet region. About that would do. The Xinjiangese, who were promised independence, get it, and this is their new nation. And then we obviously have the Republic of China now own all of this. The Mongols don't get their way and get all of this, because these guys, no friends anymore. This, N-O, no friends. Russia, friends with China, no. Friends with India? Yes. So now I'm going to take a look at the new alliance map after what just happened. Now I'm just going to colour in NATO really fast because I'm fast at colouring now. I've got this new map, which is actually quite brilliant. Dun, 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 dun. I have to do the CSTO as well. They're not in it. They're in it. They're in it. Boom, boom. Boom, boom. There you go. CSTO are these dudes, excluding China. So are these dudes here. I didn't do any of the borders. I did assume that's the CSTO. Now the PDO. So remember this pact. Remember this pact here. That's not a thing anymore. So it's now the PDP in charge. So this isn't updated, but all the new countries that will form will not be part of the PDP. So this will just be Korea. The PDP will be Japan in it. It'll be these guys, these geezers here. You know what I mean. Laos, Cambodia decide to stay out of it, and so did Myanmar. Pakistan just stay weak. I'd say there'll be provinces here, but this is the new PDP. Now, Tibet holds off because they're worried they're going to get invaded again, but that's just how it is, bro. So we're going to take a look at the ending of this peace treaty, and then we're going to end the video because I've been recording for about 2 hours now, I think it is, and I'm getting kind of bored of it. So we're going to take a look at this final peace treaty. So taking a look, we have the new Pakistani areas now being a thing, which I don't think Pakistan likes very much, as they're quite weak now. And they are even weaker because they just lost Kashmir from India. Very sad to them. So now with India basically... Oh, man, that's not all of Kashmir. Kashmir is lower. Kashmir just takes this part here. I feel like this Kashmir is quite big. So basically they can take all of Kashmir. That doesn't look right still, so I'm just going to give them this and say, hey ho, it looks alright. That looks ugly. It's this Kashmir. The Koreas, they're just going to do what they always should have done from the very beginning and unite. Taiwan now owns the Republic of China, and that's that. These two don't get anything, and India doesn't get anything. I mean, it's just the split up with Pakistan and stuff now. So anyway, if you guys did enjoy... I'll try that again, that voice crack. So if you guys did enjoy this video, if you did, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, join my Discord server, the link will be in the description. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.